Certainly. Chair Morrissey. Vice Chair Malik.
Here.
Commissioner Rosales indicated he'd be absent today. Commissioner Balma.
Present.
Commissioner Anthony.
Here.
Commissioner Dodds indicated he'd be absent today, and Commissioner Ogden.
Here.
Let the record show that 5 members are present and we have a quorum.
Okay. Thank you. I see that there's, do we have any communication on matters not on the agenda?
Yes, Chair Morrissey, we do have one speaker who is signed up electronically. Shall I continue? Thank you. Obviously, we have Zoe Erickson up on the screen. If you wouldn't mind coming forward, you'll have 3 minutes to speak, and please state your name clearly for the recording. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Zoe Erickson. I live at 4035 Olive Drive, and I'm speaking to you tonight in regards to the proposed Olive Park Apartments. It is my understanding that our concern regarding the increase of traffic on Olive Drive as the only entrance and exit to the 282-unit, 3-story building has no impact on the decision to approve this project. Okay. I believe your main concern is that the city could be sued by the developer if it is not approved. I hope that as planners, you are looking for viable reasons to deny this project. If I may, I would like to remind you of some of the very real possibilities of liabilities in approving this project. Over the 40 years I have lived there, several developers have come and gone. Why? I hope you have reviewed those plans and see why it was not feasible to develop there. The ground has not stopped moving. I understand that the developer is claiming that the soil testing done by previous developers was wrong. I may be wrong. It is stable now because the developer says so. Won't it cost the city a lot of money if the building fails? What will happen when they start removing dirt from the south side of the slope? What happens to the houses up on Worcester? Isn't that a liability? You have 2 endangered species in that area and the Loma Alta Creek that feeds the estuary. They should be concerns as well. Getting back to the project, having only one entrance. On September 27th of this year, a house caught on fire in the block, in the middle of the block. The occupants and the pets were able to get out safely, thank goodness. But the house is now unlivable. The street was filled with fire equipment and was closed for about 3 to 4 hours. No one could get in or out. Some of our neighbors had to park out on College and walk in. How would that work if the occupants of the 282 units had to evacuate? I have read the optimized EIR, and it paints a beautiful picture. I am concerned about the soil testing. I would strongly recommend another soil test done by an impartial company. I am concerned about this project. I foresee major problems with the moving and compaction of the quantity of dirt to support a 3-story building. What happens when this building fails and unhouses maybe 500 or more people? With respect, I urge the Planning Commission to deny this project. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Chair Morrissey, that concludes our electronic speakers, and I don't have any slips handed to me, but if there's anybody who wants to come forward.
No, come on up.
Come on up. Would you just identify yourself, please?
Yes, of course. Hi, my name's Catherine Bronzy, and I live at 4011 Olive Drive, which is about 10 feet from this project. I'm very concerned. I don't think it's safe. I understand you got to have a one-way in, one-way out, but that one-way in and one-way out is not safe. Our street is skinny. I have photos of when our public servants come to provide public services to us, they can't make it through. We've got the recycle truck, we've got the trash truck, we've got the mailman. The only day it's clear is Thursdays mornings with the street sweeping. Otherwise, we have cars parked on both sides. We have right now only one lane. In the beginning of the street, it appears there's two, but there's really not. We know, all of you guys know about the traffic, I know that, but that's a big problem. But the in and out, we have elderly, we have disabled, we have childcare there. This is an established neighborhood of over 47, almost 50 years. We're all going, what the heck? We need safety. They didn't talk about bike lanes. They didn't talk about extra, moving the sidewalks or anything. Please don't do that. But to get in and out, something has got to give. I'm not sure what that is, except it can't be our neighborhood. Please, the way that they're showing it, it's not safe. It really isn't. It will be, and I have photos that I could show you, thousands of them. Okay, maybe hundreds. But if the trash truck is there and a car's trying to come out, I certainly can't get out my drive. There's no way. We have school buses. They can't make the turn. Fire department. Oh, and the construction people who have come there already. Their things are so long that they are swearing loud where I can hear it. What are we doing here? This is not the way to go. And I understand there's supposed to be an access road on somewhere else and all of that. That's not going to work for us with all these people trying to come out. Yes, the fire department can go there, but what about everyone trying to escape? It's dangerous. And we know that, and I'm hoping that you do too. Mayor Sanchez voted against it. Deputy Mayor Keim did too. There was 3 other council members here. I don't know what it takes to get a quorum, but everybody I don't think was here. They put money aside for it, but I don't think they know everything about it. I don't know if they've been there. It's not their neighborhood. I understand we need affordable housing and that there's all different kinds of it, and this is supposed to be a good one, but it's got to be a safe one for everybody in the neighborhood, and this isn't it. I'm not asking for a different entrance. I know that. It's not going to happen for whatever reason. But please consider our streets, our people who live there now. We've lived there for years, and we're disabled. We're seniors. We're children we have. And I just ask for your, please consider looking further into this, because it's really important for Oceanside to not go, oh, this is a bad deal, and get in trouble later. So thank you so much for your time and for letting me speak. I can sign a paper if you need me to. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Can I get a motion to approve the December 2nd meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second? I see no issues on the consent calendar nor the transportation
Real
items.
quick, Chair Morrissey, let me read this, the vote into the record. Let the record show that the motion passes 4-0 with Commissioner Balma abstaining.
Thank you. So we'll go right into the public hearing then. The public hearing is item number 4, consideration of a regular coastal permit for the conversion of a 97 square foot covered deck to interior living area, replacing 2 sets of doors and changing 2 sets of doors to windows at the property located at 30th Street, Mallow Beach in the South Oceanside neighborhood planning area, an appealable area of the coastal zone. The project site is designated residential low density by the city's local coastal program land use plan and zoned R1. So with that, could we get disclosures? Commissioner Anthony?
Have a staff report. I'm familiar with the area.
Commissioner Ogden?
I've read the staff report, and that's the extent of it. Couldn't visit the site, not a lot in.
I read the staff report and familiar with the site. Commissioner Malik?
I read the staff report and I'm familiar with the site.
Commissioner
I read the staff report, familiar with the site. It's a beautiful neighborhood.
Thank you. Okay, we could have the staff presentation.
Good evening, Chair Morrissey and Planning Commissioners. I'm Lydia Grego with the Planning Division, here to present a request for a coastal permit by Gregory Stone and Cindy Vale of the Stone Gregory Living Trust. The applicant is requesting a regular coastal permit for the remodel and repair of an existing single-family home to include the conversion of a second-level covered deck to interior living space, the replacement of 2 sets of doors, and the replacement of 2 sets of doors with windows at 30 St. Malo Beach. The project site is a 14,000 square foot lot located within the St. Malo Beach community. The site is currently developed with a 4,000 square foot single-family residence. It is bordered by the Pacific Ocean on the west and single-family residences with French Normandy architecture to the north, east, and south. The site is designated low-density residential by the general plan, low-density residential by the city's local coastal program land use plan, and is located within the appeal jurisdiction of the California Coastal Commission. The property has a zoning designation of single-family residential, or R1. The proposed project would include a conversion of an existing 97 square foot second-level covered deck to interior living space. The proposed conversion adjoins the primary bedroom and will maintain the footprint of the existing covered deck. The project also includes the replacement of 2 sets of doors and the replacement of 2 additional sets of doors with windows. Each substitution would reestablish the functionality of the living space and provide operable doors and windows. Here is a view of the existing and proposed rear elevation. The new doors, windows, and proposed exterior finishes would remain consistent with the French Normandy architecture, which would include key features such as stucco, wood shingles, and trim painted to match existing conditions. These elevations note these key design features. And a left side elevation providing comparable views of the existing and proposed conditions. Again, noting that the key design features would be carried out on all elevations, maintaining the architectural integrity of the French Normandy style. Prior to submitting a coastal permit to the city, the applicant received approval of the architectural drawings by the St. Malo Association's Architectural Review Committee in August of 2024. Approval of a coastal permit is subject to conformance with the general plan, the coastal program, and the compliance with the zoning ordinance. The project is consistent with the general plan land use policies to promote quality architectural design and enhance visual quality of the neighborhood. The project is found consistent with the land use plan of the local coastal program in that the project is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood in terms of design and would have no impact on coastal resources. And furthermore, the project would comply with all required development standards of the R1 district in accordance with Article 10C of the zoning ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends the Planning Commission confirm issuance of a Class 3 categorical exemption of the new construction of small structures and approve regular coastal permit RC 24-06 by adopting Planning Commission Resolution Number 2024 P18 with findings and recommended conditions of approval. This concludes my presentation. The applicant and their representative are in attendance, and we are all available for questions.
Thank you, Lydia. Any questions for? Thank you. Would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Good evening. My name is Greg Stone. I just want to thank you and particularly thank Ms. Greco for her very considerate and thoughtful consideration of this project in our application. So thank you very much, and I'm available to answer any questions if anyone has any.
I don't see any questions.
Thank you very much.
Do I hear a motion to approve this? Mr. Ogden.
Motion to approve 30 St. Malo Beach remodel, consistent with, hang on for a second. to allow the conversion of a 97 square foot covered deck to interior living area, replacing 2 sets of doors, replacement of 2 sets of doors, windows of the property at 30 St. Malo Beach. The applicant is Stone Gregory Living Trust.
Do you have a second? I'll second that. Thank you.
I would like to add that I think that what they're actually doing with this house is actually improving the architecture and the
Absolutely.
look, so great job.
If they were all this easy, it would be great. Right.
Let the record show that the vote passes unanimously.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sergio, is now the time for your legislative update?
Yes, Chair Morrissey, staff has prepared a very brief, high-level overview of some legislation that was passed this legislative cycle that will affect housing. We've only chosen a few of the bills to highlight, which we think are be most impactful to our work. We'll just go straight through the memo real quick. The first bill we'd like to highlight is AB 2234. It expands and modifies the provisions of AB 2011 and SB 6 to expand the geographic eligibility for housing projects on commercially zoned land to include regional mall sites, sites near freeways, and introduce updates to objective standards for those housing developments. The bill also clarifies affordability requirements, expands the acreage limits for mixed income projects, and streamlines the ministerial review of these developments, including timelines for local jurisdictional approval. So we talked about very small projects like the one we just considered coming forward. This would allow staff to approve pretty large-scale projects without any sort of public hearing or any environmental review. SB 1123 amends the provisions of SB 684, requiring local jurisdictions to ministerially approve subdivisions with up to 10 housing units. Key provisions include expanding eligibility to include vacant property zoned for single-family residential development and setting permissible height limitations. It also broadens ownership options to include tenancy in common and community land trust for developments in single-family residential zones. The bill also clarifies that if a local jurisdiction chooses to permit accessory dwelling units and junior accessory dwelling units on parcels created through this process, those units are excluded from the 10-unit limit. So we're talking about the potential for staff to approve a 30-unit project ministerially in a single-family neighborhood. SB 450 amends the process established by SB 9 to streamline the ministerial approval of duplexes and urban lot splits in single-family zones, and clarifies that the requirements apply to all jurisdictions, including charter cities, such as the City of Oceanside. The bill also updated provisions that prohibit local jurisdictions from creating objective zoning, subdivision, or design standards that are not applied to the underlying single-family zoning. And it sets specific timeframes for processing applications and increases state authority to hold jurisdictions accountable for delays or noncompliance. So this is bills that some of our cities here in Southern California have refused to apply, and they've been sued by the state. So this bill actually strengthens SB 9 and mandates that cities continue to process these applications ministerially in a timely manner. Moving on to a different category of updates to legislation with respect to ADUs and JADUs. AB 2533 extends ADU amnesty law to include unpermitted JADUs. In addition, it expands amnesty to ADUs and JADUs built before 2020. The bill also prohibits local jurisdictions from denying permits due to violations unless necessary to address health and safety concerns and limit impact fees. So as an example, if someone built an ADU without a permit and it's been occupied, sometime before 2020 it's been occupied, and it's non-compliant to all zoning standards, it could be become a legal unit through a building permit application with no respect to local jurisdictions' development standards. Finally, or not finally, but SB 2011 increases the allowable ADUs on a lot with an existing multifamily dwelling unit from no more than 2 detached ADUs to no more than 8 detached ADUs. A little point of clarification is required here. You can't have more ADUs than you do primary units. So as an example, if you have a triplex, you can't build 8 ADUs. You could build up to 3 detached ADUs. It also allows a proposed multifamily dwelling to have no more than 2 detached ADUs. So as an example, if we have a 280-unit apartment complex and they wanted to provide 2 additional ADUs, they could in a detached form as part of the entitlement process. It wouldn't necessarily have to be an existing multifamily project like the law requires today. It could be those two units could be added to a proposed multifamily project. And SB 1077 requires Coastal Commission to coordinate with the Department of Housing and Community Development to develop and provide guidance that clarifies and simplifies the permitting process for ADUs and JDUs within the coastal zone. This would really benefit us because we don't struggle with this, but we do process a number of ADUs in the coastal zone, and we have our own process by which we do it. We don't subject those ADUs to a coastal permit that otherwise would be required, but we do send out a notice in the case that the ADU is in the appeal jurisdiction, and someone has the ability to appeal that local decision directly to the Coastal Commission. Finally, with respect to impact fees and exactions, AB 2553 requires local jurisdictions to set lower traffic impact mitigation fees for transit-oriented housing developments near major transit stops instead of just at transit stations, and changes the definition of what a major transit stop is. So that could have some impacts on what the fees that we collect to keep our roads moving smoothly. And finally, SB 937 prohibits local jurisdictions from requiring payment of fees or charges for public improvements or facilities on a designated residential development project before the development receives a certificate of occupancy and or final inspection, except under certain conditions. And it allows the collection of unpaid fees through specific procedures if the developer does not post a performance bond or a letter of credit. So currently, the practice is before you're issued a building permit, you have to pay all your development impact fees. Yeah. Now you could defer that to the end, which again could really affect city operations because we often count on that revenue to implement projects that they're intended to pay for. So they're just kicking the can down the road. So it gives them an extra 18 to 24 months to pay those impact fees. Finally, one piece of legislation that was not included in the memorandum, but it is of some significance and some importance to the work that we do, is AB 2729, which would automatically extend by 18 months the period of expiration or for a housing entitlement project for projects that were entitled before January 1st, 2024, and that will expire before December 31st, 2025. So we'll have a couple projects that will likely benefit from this automatic 18-month extension. There's been a trend recently of projects getting entitled but not getting constructed, and a lot of it has to do with the current conditions in the financing market. Money's very expensive to borrow right now, so this gives developers an extra 18 months to get a project going. That concludes the brief overview of the legislation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I have a question, Sergio. On the SB 1123, where it says it broadens ownership options to include tenancy in common and community land trusts for developments in single-family residential zones. Does that essentially mean that the developer can come in and build to rent, vice build to?
It doesn't have to be a for-sale project. Absolutely.
Okay.
So it could be, I guess, a number of different.
We're just seeing more and more communities out there that are developers building to rent, vice building for single-family home
It is
sales.
a trend that's pretty common in the marketplace. It's often driven by these large REITs that invest in residential.
BlackRock has purchased over 40% of all real estate in America in the last year.
Yeah.
BlackRock.
Wow.
They have a big presence here in San Diego County. They've moved in the last several years.
I have a question. question. None of these, though, would help tonight's applicant,
None of it
who was
would.
just doing actually a great improvement to their house, which is very simple, and I'm sure they went through all of the bells and whistles with the city to come to us. So that's just, to me, like, just because it's coastal, like, what was the, that just seems like a no-brainer that should be included in one of these proposition, these
So
AB something.
specifically a project like that, because it's in the appeal jurisdiction, I think the Coastal Commission likes to keep their options open to be able to appeal certain things that maybe go against their policies or the policies they're trying to implement. So when projects specifically are in the appeal jurisdiction, as small as that project was, it still has to come to this body, or in some instances, the city council, if it's in the downtown district, for like a balcony addition or something that's very minor like that.
I mean, it's almost like, why doesn't one of these guys get, like Skimmer, Cabrillo, one of these guys pick this thing up? It's like,
You know,
just to
I
kind
think what you'll see is there's a trend here in all these pieces of legislation is they're trying to facilitate the development of housing units,
Make it easier.
whether it's through ministerial processes or to the deferment of the payment of impact fees. They're just trying to make it easier and easier for developers
Right.
to produce units,
Yeah.
which is not a bad thing, but it also comes with other complications that aren't anticipated when the legislation is drafted.
Commissioner Ogden?
Sergio, just a question on AB 2553, Friedman. The definition of a major transit stop, what is that? What is the definition?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's very specific and it's based in the government code. And typically it is like a light rail station similar to any of our Sprinter stations or our transit center. And sometimes they could include high-frequency bus lines, so bus lines with with 15-minute or less headways. So bus routes that have 15 minutes or less headways could be considered a major transit stop. They've updated the definition now to be more permissive, so I think they're moving that 15-minute headway to maybe a 20-minute headway.
And so a bus stop, like from the interior of Oceanside, for example, away from the rail system, whether it be the coast or the Sprinter, would be maybe interpreted as a major transportation stop.
It could be if NCTD had a route that had met the qualifying headways, then it could be considered a major transit stop.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Sergio.
Yes.
I see no items on miscellaneous action, so it's down to city planners, commissioners' reports. So Commissioner Anthony?
No report.
Thank you. Commissioner Ogden?
I have no report.
I have no report. Commissioner Malik? No report.
I also have no report.
Planning Director?
Thank you, Chair Morrissey and Planning Commissioners. So our next scheduled meeting is January 13th. At that meeting, we had intended to bring forward the Oceanside Transit Center redevelopment project, along with the 810 Mission project, which is a redevelopment of NCTD's current headquarters. There's been a little bit of a complication with NCTD and the applicant Toll Brothers, and we're trying to work through those complications. So it's tentative at best right now that we're going to be at the meeting on January 13th. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but I wouldn't bank on it. So we're going to likely reschedule that meeting to a later date. And then moving on to January 27th, we're still planning on bringing the Buena Vista Lagoon Restoration Project by the Audubon Society forward for the Planning Commission's consideration. And also at that meeting, we plan on bringing forward the Olive Park 100% affordable housing project. Moving on to City Council, the next items we have on the agenda is January 8th, the conditional use permit for the micro business permit for MedLeaf, the one this body considered back in October, I believe. And then on January 22nd, will be two appeals will be considered. One is the appeal of the Planning Commission's denial of an unpermitted balcony at 1642 South Pacific Street. And the other one is the appeal of a 77-unit mixed-use project at 503 Vista Bella. So those are still scheduled and moving forward. Okay. That concludes my report to the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Unless there's anything else to bring up, this meeting is adjourned.